everybody, my name is Hope and welcome back to my channel. I like musicals, they're a big part of my life. Today I'm going to give you a weird and wacky recap of Wicked for Good. So as of recording this, Wicked came out on Thursday. I saw it on the Friday, not to flex, I'm just saying. And today is now Tuesday morning. The aim is to get this up for Tuesday night. Will that happen? I don't know, but we can but try, you know what I mean? So yes, today we're talking about Wicked for Good. I'm going to give you some anecdotes, I'm going to tell you the plot and what happens, so obviously spoilers ahead. And I'm going to give you a couple of differences between Wicked Act 2 and Wicked for Good, because of course I'm going to do that, because I know all about musicals. Not a brag, but if you're here, you probably are also the same. So, before we get into this video, remember that you can like, comment, subscribe, do all of that fun stuff. And you can also follow me on my social medias, which is Hope Wilson E, that's Hope Wilson with an E, on Instagram and TikTok. But without further ado, let's get into it. So, the end of Wicked Act 1 / the end of Wicked Part 1 ends with Elphaba singing Defying Gravity, leaving the Emerald City behind and saying, I'm going to live my best life and I'm going to save all the animals, because at the end of the day, Elphaba is an animal rights activist in the world of Oz. So that's where we left off. The first scene of Wicked Act 2, as we can see from my trusty notes, this isn't the best page if you can't tell, but I was making notes in a pitch black cinema. So it opens with a voiceover, which apparently I was obsessed with because that was what I wrote. But it also opens with these animals that kind of seem like a cross between like a buffalo and a rhino building the yellow brick road, which we don't see in the show. They are building the yellow brick road and it's kind of animal bad times vibes. I don't know if I can say that word on the internet, but you can kind of catch my drift. Elphaba shows up on her broomstick and she saves the day. She frees the animals. She writes in the sky her little message, which is a reference to the original Wizard of Oz, where it says surrender Dorothy. It says like, your wizard lies, in dramatic skywriting, as if the buffaloes are gonna do that. I think it was just for dramatic effect, I don't really know. But Elphaba gives them a baddie stare, and those are the literal words I wrote. I wrote Elphaba baddie stare, and she suits up and she flies away. So, opening scene, then we move over to what I think is the Emerald City, and it's all of the townspeople. Do they have a name? Ozians, is that the name? Singing Every Day More Wicked. Every Day More Wicked, which is a tune that you'll hear a lot throughout this movie especially, but also the first one. Basically saying, oh my god, like Elphaba is still around, everything's going bad, she's still trying to save the animals, which apparently Ozians are not okay with. And they're just spreading these lies because they've heard all of these rumours, like all these things that might be true. And one of those things is that water can melt her. And Fiyero and Glinda are like around, and Fiero's like, what is this? Who made up these rumours? And Glinda's like, people will believe anything if people say it's like done enough. And this becomes important later, which is why I'm mentioning it. I do wish it was a bit punchier. I felt like I needed to be like attacked with Every Day More Wicked, but alas, it was still good. And while this is all kind of going on, we flash to Elphaba in her lair, which is a really cute lair, by the way. It's kind of like tree vibes, like rustic vibe, but it's like not a house. Like I think it is actually just like part of a tree. There's no other way to explain that. And I'm so sorry, but I actually have no idea what I've written at the bottom here. It seems like I've written WITF, which can only presume to be what is this feeling? Cute, love for in it. So whatever that means. I've also written PV yes please, and I don't know what that stands for either. So brilliant. Moving on. I've also written outfits. They were great. Like Paul Tazewell, who was the costume designer, like I think he won the Oscar for the first film. So good. He also did the outfits for Death Becomes Her, if you didn't know that. He's also done many other things. He's great. Love him. Also, the train, the Oz train, is pink. So I just had to mention that because I was like, how the hell have we managed to get a pink train? Anyway, like I said, we are like seeing Glinda and Fiyero, and they're like having chats because they're mates. We'll get on to that. Oh, and this is some side notes. Like I said, this is going to be so chaotic and messy because I'm trying to actually decipher notes that I wrote and have no idea what I'm saying. But in the movie, Glinda obviously has a bubble. And in that, the bubble is built by the wizard and given to her by Madame Morrible. And like the town of Oz believe she's magic because she has the bubble and she has the wand. But in the movie version, especially at this point in time, Glinda is not magical. She's she's not a magical human being. And so I don't remember if in the musical that is the same, because in the musical I always assumed that she was magical, she just wasn't very good at it. And I don't remember if they ever mentioned where they got the bubble from, but I thought I would mention that because I feel like someone will probably know the answer. Moving on, we go into Thank Goodness, which is a great number, let me tell you. And it's Glinda speaking to some Aussians. I think it is Munchkins in this one, but I can't exactly remember. Basically saying, you know, we're having a celebration. Elphaba's not around. Everything's gonna be fine. Also, me and Fiero are getting married, and Fiero's looking at her like, we are? We're not together. And Glinda's like, yeah, I know, but it's good for everyone, right? And he's like, yeah, okay, works for me, which no one questions as an audience member. But is that not kind of weird? Like, you are not in a relationship with this woman, and she's like, we're engaged, and you're like, okay. Okay. Anyway, there's also these dancers in that number, and they're dressed like flamingos, and no one batted an eyelid other than me, so I had to mention that because what? She's singing Thank Goodness, and there's people like this, like in like pink fluffy outfits. I'm like, anyway. Ariana's singing was great. I even used my descriptive word of yum. It was so great. I loved it. I think especially like in this film, I don't know, I just felt the vibes a bit more, I think, with the singing. Not that the singing in the first one was bad. It was great. I don't know, I was just more in with it this time, most of the time. But basically, like, they're like chatting to the Aussians, like, we're engaged, vibes. And Fiero's like, can I just have like a private chat? So they go behind the clock tower, and I'm just going to mention this now because when you hear it, you can't unhear it. They say just a clock tick maybe like 8 times in this film, and then one time she says just a sec. I just had to mention that. Like I said, this is chaotic. But Fiero and Glinda talk about Elphaba and how they miss her. Fiero's like, I'm not, like, he's saying it without saying it, but he's like, I kind of still love Elphaba, Loki, even though in this time jump, the time jump is 4 years between the 2 movies, but they don't explain that at all. And she's like, we have to, for the goodness of things, like, we have to move on with our life. And then he's like, yeah, okay, fine, whatevs. I'm not questioning the logic. But they go back out, and Glinda finishes the song, and I really love the different take on Couldn't Be Happier, because there's no happiness. A lot of the time in the musical, it's kind of like this, I'm sad, but I'm pretending to you all that I'm happy. No, in this version, Glinda is she's just real sad. She's just real sad all the time. Oh, me getting stuff mixed up. This is when Elphaba swoops in, and it's like, oh, wizard lies, Oz dies, because she's dramatic, because she rhymes. And Fiero, who I kind of forgot to mention, is now captain of the guard, and Glinda is like, she's kind of high up in the government, like she's like besties with Madame Morrible and the wizard and that. But yeah, so Fiero's captain of the guard, and his like main job is to capture Elphaba. And so he's like, well, I gotta capture her, she's up there, so let's get on my horse and I'm gonna ride away and try and find her. So they ride into the woods, like Elphaba's kind of like flying and all the monkeys are flying, it's a whole thing, and they're on their horses. I don't know why I keep doing this every time I say they're on their horses, but they're on their horses, and they let go, and they're trying to capture her. And they kind of come to this clearing, and Elphaba, genuinely, there's like foliage, and she's literally like this. She's like leering through the foliage. Fiero's there, and he's wearing this jacket where for some reason he can only wear it half on, half off. I don't know if that's the design or what, but I thought it was weird. And Fiero is talking to the guard, and he's like, Elphaba is a wicked witch, and we've got to capture her. And like, this hurts Elphaba. She's like, dude, I love this man, and like, he just called me a wicked witch. Clearly doesn't love me anymore. Clearly he worked for the mob, which is Madame Morrible and the Wicked Witch. Wicked Witch. Sorry. But yeah, so he's like she's like, oh, he's working for them, he doesn't love me anymore, he's an enemy. And he doesn't see her, he can't see her, and he leaves. And we then flip over to Nessa Rose, which is really early in the movie for this compared to the show. And Elphaba knows that her father is dead. So like a big part of Wicked Witch of the East especially, which is a number sang by Nessa, the kind of big turning point of that scene is that Elphaba's like, you need to speak to dad because we're close and we need to convince dad to fix things. And she's like, dad's dead, he's dead, and it's your fault because he found out what you'd done and he had a heart attack and died. But she knows in this version, which she knows he's dead already, so I was like, how is this gonna pan out? Anyway, I genuinely look like I've written in German, but I think what happened is based on this unreadable writing is that like Nessa Rose is like signing animal rights away. Nessa Rose is weirdly not as wicked, I don't feel, in this version in comparison to the musical version. fashion, and not in the things that she does, because they're pretty much the same, but just in her like demeanor. But yeah, Nessa Rose is signing animal rights away because she doesn't care, and everyone's kind of like, is this not an issue? Box there, like, is that not an issue? And she's like, I have to protect you, because she's still kind of in love with him, and also like protect everyone else, even though she's not, but that's what she thinks in her own head. Bok is like, hey, you are so great, and I like you, not love you, like you so much, even though I'm your servant, kind of, and I just was wondering if I could leave and live my own life away from you. And she's like, yes, you can. And he's like, wow, I didn't expect you to say yes. And she's like, I have a feeling you'll be back, which, you know, tells us everything we need to know. But yeah, so Bok leaves. Bok's like on his merry way, and he gets to the train station, and Nessa Rose, which this is kind of an insane move, but Nessa Rose says, oh, all munchkins are not allowed to leave this place without my explicit permission. And so Bok's like, well, I'm not going to be able to leave then, am I? So he goes all the way back, not really by choice, and he becomes Nessa's servant, essentially, which is pretty horrible for him. And this is also different from the musical, because in the musical, like, Nessa Rose just takes away all munchkin rights, because her reasoning is like, she still loves Bok and she wants him to stay there. I'm sure as like the governor, you could probably, not in a necessarily righteous way, but you could probably find a way to keep Bok in your company without affecting the lives of like every munchkin ever. Also, my question was, how do you know what a munchkin looks like? Because in this world, they're all the same height pretty much, and it's just kind of the way they dress. But then we're getting into a really muddy area of what makes a munchkin. But it was just a question that I had, because I was like, how do you know who is a munchkin and who is not? But there's some context for you. So Elphaba, back to Elphaba again, she's flying around and she sees all the animals leaving. They're like going into this underpassage of the yellow brick road, which basically looks like a scene from Ready Player One. It's kind of bizarre, but if you've seen Ready Player One, you'll know what I mean. And all the animals are leaving Oz because they're like, well, we're either not having the best treatment or we have no rights and being captured. So it's kind of an all-round bad sitch for animals in Oz at the moment. This is when we get one of the new songs, No Place Like Home, which is basically just Elphaba being like, woe is me, woe is animals, woe is song. And then it's over. And we actually see the Cowardly Lion here. The Cowardly Lion is not a speaking role in the musical. They are, I don't even think, in the second act, or if they are, it's like different. And the Cowardly Lion's like, we need to save ourselves, fend for ourselves, we need to get out of here. And it's Coleman Domingo, which is so bizarre. And Elphaba tries to convince him to stay. Like, she sees the bear from, like, who helped her mother give birth back in the day. And she's like, I'm sorry, but we have to leave because life is not good for us right now. And then we flip back to Nessa Rose. If you can't tell, like, all the Nessa Rose stuff in the show is all just in one block. But it's split up in the movie because they have, there is a time jump. Not a long one, but like a small time jump in between the two scenes, whereas in the musical they are like back to back. Anyway, Bart is, like I said, Nessa Rose's slave. Like, there's no other way to say it. Like, servant with no rights, no choice. He's having a really sucky time, and you feel kind of bad for him because he hasn't really done anything wrong, especially in the movie version. Like, he's not just with Nessa because he feels guilty, really. He kind of is in the first act, but by this point, like, they actually have a genuine friendship, and it's just kind of like he works for her, and now it's like, oh no, this is not the case anymore. And Bok sees like a flyer or a newsletter or something, and it basically, or a magazine, and it's like Glinda and Fiera getting married, and Bok's like, oh my god, this girl from like 5 years ago who I liked, I still love her, and you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go. I need to go, and I need to tell Glinda that I still love her, because then she'll change her mind and she won't marry Fiera, who's this insanely hot man who is literally the head of the soldiers, and he's a bit delusional like that, but I kind of love him for it. So he's like, I need to go, like, I need to leave, I need to appeal to Glinda, who still loves me. So he kind of like, he's not running away, but he kind of like disappears for a little bit, and boo, Elphaba's in the mirror. Did I scare you? They do this in the musical as well. She just kind of appears, but in the musical she's like in the wardrobe, she's like in it and you see her like through the wardrobe, and in this version she's just in the mirror. I also asked the question, did Elphaba always have brown hair? Because it's in this scene where her hair looks really brown and it doesn't in a lot of other scenes in the film. So that was my question. And Elphaba and Nessa Rose have a chat, and she's like, hey, can you stop all the animal stuff? Can you like fix kind of all the bad things that are going on kind of because of you, low-key? And Nessa Rose is just sad because she's like, well, my dad died, and the guy that I've loved for like 6 years at this point doesn't love me, which is genuinely all that Nessa Rose wants. She just literally wants Bok to love her and be her bestie. And I think she has a lot more reason to be like hateful in this version. Whether she is or not is kind of another question, but she definitely, I think it makes more sense as to why she's like so like this. And then Bok comes back into the room. The chat is way longer, but it's not relevant. But Bok comes back into the room and he's like, get away, witch. Yeah. But he's also like, oh, you're here, so I can leave. So I'm gonna skedaddle. And Nessa Rose is like, no, you're not gonna leave because I love you and you can't leave. So he takes the Grimoire, which if you remember is like the big spell book which Elphaba has, and she's like squeezing through the pages and starts reading literal things that probably look like this, reading the words. And Elphaba's like, bro, you're reading it wrong. This is really bad. And literally Bok starts to have a heart attack. I also didn't mention this because in the movie version it's not relevant, but she doesn't gain the ability to walk. It sounds weird to say it that way because in the musical, like, it's like, oh, the kind of complex of like disabled people wishing to not be disabled. They don't do that in this version. She's like, I want to feel like I did in the ballroom with Bok. And so she like floats and then she floats back down. That is the difference. Yeah, so Bok starts having a literal heart attack. He's like, oh, my heart, I think I'm dying. Elphaba's like, get out, I need to save this guy, I need to save him. So she like goes outside and she's like waiting, and then Elphaba comes out and she's like, he won't be suffering anymore, and it's because she's turned him into the Tin Man. He's the Tin Man now. And Elphaba leaves and Bok comes out and he's like, what the hell, I'm made of tin? Which, like, granted, I think would give anyone an existential crisis. It also doesn't look like Ethan Slater at all, but he looks so good as it. Anyway, and Nessa Rose is like, it was Elphaba. Yeah, so Elphaba turned you into a Tin Man for no reason. And so Bok's like, what? Vengeance. That is literally his reason, because he kind of forgets most things of like what just happened. She turned you into the Tin Man because she can, because she's wicked. And so he's like, right, so I'm gonna kill her because this sucks, right? And honestly, in my own literal words, I put, take the damn Grimoire off her. Literal words that I said. Why did Elphaba not take the Grimoire off her? It is a magic book, yes, but you are the magic one, not her. So I'm sure you could just pick it up and take it. Also, Nessa Rose knows that she fancies Fiero because Elphaba tells her, she's like, I have to go to the wizard and like stop him from doing all this stuff. And she's like, we all know the real reason is because you're going because you want Fiero and you want him in your bed. And I'm saying that, but that is literally the truth. That's exactly what happened. But Elphaba's like, no, I need to expose the wizard, and that's why I'm going. It has nothing to do with this really hot man that I was in a relationship with 4 years ago, because they're still in a situationship, I guess. And so Elphaba leaves and she escapes through a skylight. But can you call it a skylight when there is no glass? There is just a literal hole in the roof of this building. Yeah. There's just a hole in the roof of the building and no one thinks anything of it. Also, where did Bok's knees go? Yes, he's been turned into a Tin Man, but I don't know if that gives you the ability to lose your kneecaps, because his knees are like actual hinges. He's also kind of scary, but like there is no knee, it's just hinge. And I'm like, I don't know how that works, but I thought I would mention it because it felt kind of relevant. Then we're going over to Glinda. Not seen her in a while. Glinda is getting ready for one of her many like social engagements with the public, and Elphaba shows up at her apartment. She has a really nice apartment, by the way. Just thought I would mention that. And Elphaba goes to Glinda being like, hey, I need to talk to the wizard and you can help with that. And she's like, actually, yeah, low-key, I can help with that, but like you need to leave because if someone finds you here, I'll get in trouble and you'll get killed. She's like, please leave. And so she does, but then they end up going to the wizard together because Elphaba just kind of wants things to start again, start over and fix everything, and Glinda's like, yeah, me too, want that would be great. So that's why they're like, okay with this plan. But I think at this point there's also like a quick flashback to Glinda as a child who all she ever wanted was to be magical, and she wasn't magical, and she just like wanted to be liked and stuff. And like there's a rainbow outside, and they're like, did you create the rainbow? And she's like, yes, because I love rainbows. She didn't create the rainbow, but that was just a thing that kind of becomes relevant later. I don't really know. It's kind of confusing. Then we go to the wizard in his wizarding lair. I've written Goldblum up ASM, which ASM stands for Assistant Stage Manager. So maybe he looked like that, or maybe that is an abbreviation of something else. I'm not sure. I even put don't know if it makes sense underneath, and then I put unlimited makes sense. So if you have seen the movie, maybe you can decode that, because I cannot. But Elphaba goes to the wizard and she's like, animal rights, because she is literally an Aussie, an animal rights activist. And she's like, you set the animals free and I will stop being a menace to society and I will come and help you. Hashtag teamwork. And the wizard's like, okay, brill, that sounds great. And they sing Wonderful, which Loki really enjoyed. It was the wizard and a Glinda duet instead of just a wizard soloist. Maybe that was why. But in the musical, I find like both of the wizard songs are like not my favorite, and just ones that I don't tend to listen to. But like in this version, God, I was having a great time. But I also do kind of love Jeff Goldblum. He is the best part of Jurassic World Dominion, which is an interesting movie, if I have to say that. And Elphaba sets the monkeys free. So Chistery, who's like the head of the monkeys, is like, thanks Elphaba, big up. Also, someone pointed this out to me and I thought it was hilarious. One of the monkeys is wearing Glinda's jacket, because like in the first one, Glinda gets her jacket taken by a monkey, and in this one of the monkeys is wearing the jacket, and I just thought that was really funny. But then the wizard is like called away or with Glinda or something. I didn't actually write how that happens. But Chistery is kind of like, thanks mate, but like gesturing because he can't talk. And Elphaba goes over and she like opens up, and behind this picture of himself, like a literal safe, like behind this picture of himself is a door, and it's all these caged animals, including Dr. Dillerman. Dr. Dillerman's in there, but he can't speak here. He's just goatified because he is a goat. Elphaba's like, oh my god, this man is corrupt. Who would have guessed it? A man in government who's corrupt. Damn, shocking. I also literally wrote Dilly as a goat and I thought I should mention that. But Elphaba's like, oh, well, can't trust the wizard then, can I? And I just remembered what is going on at this point. So, I told you guys this was not going to be a great recap. It's all over the place. But they sing Wonderful. Glinda leaves because I forgot to mention, this is her wedding day. She's getting married to Fiera today. So she is in her literal wedding dress, and as Elphaba's like opening the door and looking at all the animals, she's walking down the aisle. It's like a split scene kind of a moment where it keeps flicking between the two scenes. So she's like walking down the aisle and Elphaba's walking through the thing looking at all the animals, and Elphaba turns around, the wizard's in the doorway. He's like, didn't expect you to find this, but now you have, so I have to end you. And she's like, you're not ending me, dude, you're not ending me. And so with her mind, because she's magic, all the locks off of the cages break off, and it's a stampede of animals, and they stampede through the town. That's a lie. They stampede through the wizard's house. I don't know where he lives, I guess. And the wedding is in like the same place. It's in the same venue. And there is a wedding stampede. Madame Morrible gets a face plant of cake because she can. People are being ran over by giant animals. Everyone's running away. Literal stampede. I've also written in Bob moment in capital letters. So I don't know if this is like Bob, like actual Bob, or this is something else. But I felt like I should mention it because I wrote it in my notes. Glinda goes back to where Elphaba was, so they're back in the same place with the wizard. Elphaba is like battling with the broomstick, and she is like strangling Jeff Goldblum, aka the wizard, with her broomstick. And then Fiero comes in, and Fiero is holding Elphaba at gunpoint. She's like, let him go. This cannot stand. Let him go. Because Jonathan Bailey sounds exactly like that. And the wizard's like, oh, great. Oh my god. So Elphaba takes off the thing, and he's pointing it at Elphaba, and he goes, get in the cage. I love this scene. I think it's so great. He's like, get in the cage. And so Jeff Goldblum indeed gets in the cage and like shuts it. And then Glinda comes in, and then we get a whole love triangle moment because Glinda loves Fiero. Fiero loves, it's not really a triangle because Glinda loves Fiero. Fiero loves Elphaba. Elphaba loves Fiero. But Elphaba also kind of loves Glinda, so it does kind of make a triangle in the end. And they're like kind of all at an impasse. They're like, it's like the little Spider-Man meme, like this. Like they don't really know what to do. But Fiero is like, let's go, Elphaba. Let's leave. And Glinda's like, what? And he's like, we're leaving together without you. Sorry, I know we were just just about to get married. But it's Elphaba and Glinda in a completely valid way. Glinda's like, you two, always, as if like they'd been like secretly dating behind her back the whole time. That's kind of the assumption that she makes, which isn't true. But then they kind of agree to it, and Elphaba's kind of like, had to be this way. No, it didn't. And also you didn't. Like, you've literally not seen each other in like 5 years. You're just like weirdly obsessed with each other because we live in a fantastical world where feelings are a bit wayward. I literally put Glinda's betrayed hashtag together. So it's a tough time for her. And Fiyero and Elphaba leave together. Then Madame Morrible comes in and she's like, you idiot, how did you end up in this cage? You're actually useless. Why do I waste my time on you? Glinda's there and is upset, and Madame Morrible's like, oh, we just need a way to get Elphaba. We need to like get her here somehow. Like, we don't know how to do it. Glinda, because she's upset, is like crying, and she's like, use her sister, she'll love her sister, like make up a rumor about her sister. And she leaves. Madame Morrible and the wizard are like, she's never gonna believe a rumor about her sister, she's not an idiot, so let's do something a bit more drastic. And so she does this iconic part, which is one of my favorite parts of the musical actually, where she goes, let's change the weather. And she brews up a storm, because remember her speciality is weather. She mentioned this in the first movie. And like a storm begins, and we get a little flash to Glinda. She's singing I'm Not That Girl reprise, which is beautiful, by the way, because she still loves Fiyero, even though I think she kind of loves Elphaba more, but that's my own opinion. But I'm Not That Girl into As Long As You're Mine, which is the next song, there is no transition, and there is it's like a really iconic transition of the musical that isn't in the movie. But we get a whole scene between Elphaba and Fiyero basically chatting, being like, oh my god, I can't believe you love me still, and I love you. And then they sing As Long As You're Mine, which I have genuinely written uncomfortably intimate Jonathan Bailey stare. That's what I wrote. I actually felt really uncomfortable during the scene because Jonathan Bailey can like, he has like 1,000-mile stare, and it's like sexy eyes. I just felt kind of uncomfortable about it. I don't know what it was, but I did. And at the end of the damn song, my wicked pet peeve, they go on their knees and they sing to each other. It's in the musical as well, so that's why they put it in, because it's like they're on their knees the whole song in the musical, but they get on their knees at the end, and it drives me up the wall. I don't know what it is. I just hate the kneeling. I hate it so much, and it's in both versions. I was literally like, oh, this is so refreshing, them not being on their knees for this thing. I literally was like, sat there like, I'm just really glad this number they're not on their knees. Then they get on their knees, and I was really mad about it. Anyway, Madame Morrible conjures up the tornado? Hurricane? I don't really know what the word is. I think it's a tornado. I think it's a tornado in this version. And it's a really cool tornado, by the way. Like, sound design, beautiful, screen, great. Like, really love this tornado. I think it looks great. Although it does end abruptly, but we'll get there. So, Madame Morrible conjures up this tornado, and at the same time of this tornado, because Nessa Rose is kind of an idiot, she feels guilty for everything that she did to Bok. So she goes to look for Bok in Munchkin Land, even though he's not a Munchkin anymore. He's a Tin Man, so why would he go back to Munchkin Land? He probably has better places to be. And the tornado is there whilst she is in Munchkin Land, and you see the house in the tornado, and Nessa Rose gets crushed by the house. And I say it like this because this is genuinely how it happens. It's so abrupt. Like, it's literally like she's like in the wind, like trying to like see and everything, and then you like see the tornado, and she like literally looks up, and there's the house, and then boom, she's dead. And that is the end of the storm sequence. It's so weird because I was like loving the tornado like ambiance and everything. I was having a great time. Like, I wanted to kind of see some destruction a la like 2012, like Disaster Day After Tomorrow, disaster movies, you know what I mean? But no, she just dies, and that's it for Nessa Rose. Hashtag rest in pieces. This is the weirdest like scene change. Nessa Rose dies. Immediately we have Cindy Erivo and Jonathan Bailey, aka Elphaba and Fiyero, in bed because they've just had sex, and Elphaba wakes up from this like nightmare being like, my sister, something's wrong with my sister, I know something's wrong with my sister. So she's like, I have to leave, I have to go save her. And she's like, don't come with me, don't follow me, I'll do this by myself. And so Elphaba leaves, and also they float during As Long As You're Mine, and I didn't mention that, but they do. It's a whole thing. And Fiyero, because he doesn't listen to what anybody says, he follows Elphaba on foot. She's on broomstick, so it's not quite a thing, but he gets found by the monkeys, and it kind of looks like they want to like kill him, but we then just get a new scene. It's the next morning, and Glinda is at the house that killed Nessa Rose, that Dorothy is in the movie. She like waves off the gang. Well, it's just Dorothy at this point, and she's mourning Nessa Rose, and this kind of feels odd, but she's mourning Nessa Rose. Then Elphaba shows up And this whole scene feels so weird to do in such broad daylight. In the musical, because the musical is generally like quite dark set wise, like it kind of looks like a sunset, sunrise kind of vibe. So it feels a bit more, but this whole scene is done in like bright daylight, which just doesn't work at all. But Elphaba's like, why did you give Dorothy my sister's shoes? And she's like, I don't know, it kind of felt like the right thing to do. And Elphaba's like, I don't agree with that. And Elphaba kind of makes a speech basically being like, because she's mad. She's kind of having a little bit of strop. Kind of rightfully so, though. Her sister has just died. And she's like, it's your fault. And like, you're just jealous because Fiyero loves me. Like, there's literally a whole thing. She's like, and you're just jealous because like, you're not cool enough and you're not smart enough and you're not this enough. And Fiyero loves me and he doesn't love you. And you have to get that in your head. And guess what? Glinda slaps her. Glinda slaps Elphaba. Full hand slaps Elphaba in the face. And let me tell you, there was an audible gasp when I saw her in the theatre. Everyone who hadn't seen the show was like, because it just comes out of nowhere, but it's so great. It's such a great scene. And of course, Elphaba slaps her back because they're iconic. And the two fight, and it's just a great scene because it's like they're both crap. They're both bad at fighting, and so it's just very enjoyable. The guards show up because obviously the whole point of this plan was to trap Elphaba, and Elphaba's obviously hurt by Glinda because she's like, you're using my sister's death to like keep me here, and like you're talking to me not because you like me or you care about me, but because you're trying to get me captured, which actually isn't really the case. I don't think Glinda kind of knew this. Like, she even's like, accidents happen, and Elphaba's like, does this look like an accident to you? And she's like, I don't know, I guess I never really thought about it. But Elphaba thinks it's all orchestrated when it kind of is, but it's not really to do with her. But then Fiyero shows up, not by rope swing like in the musical. He just kind of runs in dramatically because it's Jonathan Bailey, and he threatens to kill Glinda. Glinda's really hurt by this, rightfully so. If someone was threatening to kill me that I loved, I'd probably be quite offended too. And Fiyero is kind of around with these guards because he's like, well, I'm sacrificing myself for you right now. He has all the team of monkeys behind him as well. I forgot to mention, they didn't want to kill him. They actually wanted to be his friend. And Fiyero's like, leave Elphaba with the monkeys, go now. Doesn't really want to leave, but does anyway. Fiyero gives himself up because he kind of has to. It's like 1 against like 20 guards and Glinda, so he's probably not going to win. But he gets taken by the guards and he gets beaten the fuck up. He gets beaten up, taken away. And Glinda's like, oh my god, no, I don't want this man to die. I still kind of love him low-key. And in probably one of the most controversial changes to this movie, Glinda shouts Fiyero, and that is the transition into No Good Deed. In the musical, it's Elphaba, and in the movie, it's Glinda. Some people liked it, some people didn't. I didn't mind it, but I did just want to hear Cynthia Erivo say it, just because it's Cynthia Erivo, really. But can we just leave some silence for this number? It was brilliant. I loved it. Absolutely no notes. Pure vocals. Cynthia, I wrote, and that was literally all I wrote because I sat and enjoyed myself very much so. Oh yeah, we should probably talk about some context. In this scene, Elphaba saves Fiyero from being killed by the guards by using a spell, saying that he'll feel no pain and whatnot. But going back to me not knowing what I've written, I wrote Madame Marble and Wizard Palace are armed. Looks like a D, but it could also be a P, but neither of those are letters that are helpful. Made it something. Madame Marble, fine, slay. Tillay, go to get broomstick. Oh, team. Ah, yes, I know what I'm talking about. Dorothy arrives to the wizard's place. The wizard's like, go get me the broomstick of the Wicked Witch of the West, and sends them on their merry way. And they want the broomstick, I think, to get Elphaba. It's something to do with Elphaba and trying to get her around. I think I was just saying that Madame Marble is like being the icon that she is, because I can't just love Michelle Yeoh, not gonna lie. Then we get March of the Witch Hunters. Let me tell you, also love this song. This was a brilliant 15 minutes. It doesn't sound anything like Ethan Slater, but he is slaying. I thought he was great. Deserves some more recognition. Vocals, Ethan Slater vocal slays is what I said. I just thought the number was great. Then we go to Ariana Grande and she sings the new song Girl in the Bubble. I actually wrote Ariana Grande's side profile perfect. And this whole scene is not relevant really to anything, but it's a nice song. It's basically just saying like she tries to be perfect all the time. She's not. It's basically like I'm Not That Girl, but kind of like her own version of it, I think. But after that, Glinda goes to Madame Marble and she's like, did you kill Nessa Rose? And Madame Marble is kind of like, maybe a little bit. But Madame Marvel's like, you're a leader, you're all this, like, come on, everything's fine. And Glinda's hurt, so she runs away. But of course, because she's Glinda, she puts a black cloak on over her glittery ball gown and gets on a horse and leaves. And it's at this point where Elphaba kidnaps Dorothy, which happens in the movie. Like, the whole of the Wizard of Oz like takes place in like the last 10 minutes of the film, but it's fine because that's how it goes in the show as well. So Elphaba kidnaps Dorothy and Glinda arrives, and this is when my pen kind of ran out, so I can't really read any of it because there is writing in the bottom corner, but you just can't see it. Glinda arrives, she's like, what are you doing? Let the girl go. She's like, can't do that, soz, mate. I want my shoes back. Just give me the shoes. I'll let you go if you give me the shoes. She's obviously not going to do that because of logic. Elphaba has like a section of Fiero's jacket, and she's like, oh my god, what happened to Fiero? And she's like, things won't be bothering him anymore, telling Glinda that Fiero is dead. And so she's like struggling, she's kind of going through the trenches, which valid, you've just been told that the man that you, I guess, loved is dead. She's really sad about it, and this is probably the most depressing, so I had to move because my hip hurts so bad. Yeah, Glinda is like, we can be fine, everything's fine, and basically Elphaba's like, no, I have to die, I have to disappear, like, I can't live in this world, like, I'm just gonna be like a target forever. And Glinda's like, well, you can't die, like, you can't do that, like, I'm here for you, like, we can save things. And like, Elphaba's like, no, like, I can't do that. And yeah, so basically this whole scene it's a long scene as well, is Elphaba being like, gonna die right now, this is what I'm doing, I'm gonna die, and you have to be okay with that. Obviously she's not okay with that, because who would be? And there is more of a reason to it, but I can't actually remember what it is. And Glinda's like, okay, but like, I'll tell everyone you're not wicked. And Elphaba's like, you can't do that, you can't tell people the truth, because they have to have someone to hate, because if they don't hate me, they'll just find a new person to hate, and we'll just be spreading more hate, basically. She's like, we don't need any more haters in this world, which kind of valid, lucky. Also with Fiero, she uses the phrase, we've seen his face for the last time, which is really sad, really quite graphic as well. But yeah, as a parting gift, Elphaba's like, take the Grimoire, keep it in safe hands, I trust you, and like all this. It's a really heartbreaking scene, to be honest. It's really sad. Like I was not crying, like, you know, but people were, like, because it was this thing of, you know what's about to happen, like, you know that she's about to like die, and they just talk, and it's really sad, and it's really warm and real. Those were two words I wrote warm and real. And you know, Elphaba says like, I have to go, and they both say I love you, and this is great shot. It's such an amazing shot where basically, like, in difference to the musical, Glinda sees Elphaba's death, which I don't think she does in the musical, and she's shut behind a door, so like the screen is like half and half, and you both see them like against the door, like a la like Frozen, like the opening of Frozen, like, do you want to build a snowman? It's giving that. And they both say I love you, which is crazy. Yeah, we see it, it's the same as the musical where everything's in shadow, so you see the shadow of Dorothy throw the water onto Elphaba, and Elphaba melt. Glinda's crying, and it's all real sad, and Glinda comes out and she sees the witch's hat on the floor, and she's like crying because her bestie is dead, her technical lover is dead. And yeah, and we see Chistery, the monkey, and he starts to be able to speak because it's like a curse has been lifted or whatever. And Glinda's real sad, and she like is like, okay, so let me fix all this stuff for Elphaba. So she goes back to her apartment, and there's a little green vial there, which was Elphaba's, which was given to her by Elphaba. So she goes to the wizard and is like, hey, this green vial, it was Elphaba's, it looks really familiar, don't know if you know anything about that. And we get a huge spoiler drop, the wizard is Elphaba's real father, which she never finds out, by the way, which I really thought she did, but apparently not. The mysterious man from the opening of the first one, Have Another Drink, My Dark-Eyed Beauty, was the wizard, and it's this really scary de-aged Jeff Goldblum. Why they did that, I don't know. It was weird. And she's like, hey, like, this was her keepsake, and obviously Elphaba's dead, so like he's just like, oh my god, I killed my own daughter, I feel so guilty, I feel so horrible. And so Glinda's like, you know how you can fix this? You can leave. And he's like, yeah, okay, fairs. And so he leaves like he does in The Wizard of Oz, via the balloon. Then she goes to Madame Marble and is like, well, the wizard's gone, and I'm not going to stand for what you did, so I hope you'll enjoy your time in prison. And so she imprisons Madame Marble, which you would think she would put up more of a fight, maybe give a tornado to Glinda or something, but apparently not. And then we go back to the hat. We go back to the hat on the floor, and what do we see? We see a straw man walk in and open the hatch, and Elphaba's in there. It was a trapdoor. It was all fake. She's really alive. And not only that, Fiero's the damn scarecrow. You actually found this out, I think, earlier in the film, but I wanted to mention it now because it felt like better for dramatic effect. So yeah, Fiero's the scarecrow, and Elphaba's still alive. And they both love each other, and they both say they're both beautiful. I wouldn't say Jonathan Bailey is as beautiful as a scarecrow, I'll be honest. If anything, I kind of hate it, but Elphaba still loves it. She still loves him somehow. Them leave. They go and disappear into the, I don't really know, but they leave. And then we get the scenes from the opening of the first part. So you see the people on the horse with the cloak on. Whether that's Elphaba and Fiero or Glinda, I'm not really sure, but either way, it's one of the two. So we find that out. We see the flying monkeys flying. We see Glinda, and it's literally the opening of No One Wants the Wicked, her coming down in the bubble, saying hi and whatnot. And it's like, fellow Aussians, and then she's like, and all people. She's like, all people, all things, all animals, everyone is free, everyone is happy, everything's grand. Did you know Elphaba were at school? Yes, I did. We're gonna talk. And then she's like, animal rights, guys, animal rights. All the animals now have rights. Everyone's got rights. Hip hip hooray. And everyone's like, hey, yay, no more Wicked Witch. Like, everyone's got rights. What a win. But obviously Glinda's still really sad about Elphaba, because like it's literally been 5 minutes since anything happened. We get the finale. I also forgot to mention that they do sing For Good before she dies. Forgot that whole thing, but you could kind of surmise that that's what happened. I said it was a long scene, and it was. And then we get the finale. We get all the singing and whatnot, and basically they sing, and Elf and Glinda, I'm getting the two way confused now, Glinda is in her little palace and whatnot, and Elphaba and Fiero walking across what seems like a desert, which I have no idea where in Oz that might be. Elphaba turns around, like towards the camera, so she's like walking away. She turns, looks, and the grimoire next to Glinda like flutters like this, and Glinda looks at it like this is, it's like, she's like, oh my god. And it's this thing of, it's Elphaba telling Glinda she's still alive. People have interpreted it differently. Some people are like, it's Glinda unlocking her magical powers and things. My interpretation of it was Elphaba telling Glinda that she's still alive. And then she looks out, and then Elphaba's like smiling. And then they carry on walking into the distance. Glinda also sees a rainbow at this point. So the whole rainbow thing that I said would become important, this is how it kind of becomes important later. She sees a rainbow, and that's why people think it's her unlocking her magical power, because she sees a rainbow and she's like made a rainbow. And then we get a little flashback to this like weird scene, which is also in the first one, which is of Nessa Rose, Bock, Fiero, Elphaba and Glinda, and they're like having a little picnic party, and Elphaba's got her witch's hat on, and Ariana's got her like a white cardigan thing with a hood, and she puts the hood on and she does this, and Elphaba's like this, and it's the poster, I just spat, it's the poster of Wicked, and that is the end of the movie. And like, let me tell you, I've been sat here, genuinely, it's been an hour and 12 minutes. Don't know how long this is actually going to be, but I've been sat here talking about Wicked for an hour and 12 minutes. And let me tell you, it was a good time. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. I think I prefer the first one, but I think the first one is just objectively more interesting because more happens. But that is Wicked for Good. And the idea that I made this first video a year ago is honestly kind of crazy. And I don't know why I've resorted to this. Like I'm doing like a chat show. I don't know. But my God, Wicked for Good was in fact a time that it happened. And it cost so much money. I just think that this was probably one of those movie musicals that was done right. You know, I think there are some that didn't always work, but I felt like this one did. And I think it's a good sign for where musicals now are headed. But honestly, I don't really have that much to say. I'll probably make another video on Wicked, maybe just giving my thoughts in a bit more detail, because like this was chaotic and not in order, and hopefully you got the plot from me talking. I think I got into a flow state maybe about halfway through. But thank you so much for watching this video. Remember that you can like if you liked it, subscribe if you feel like it. Feel free to give your comments about Wicked down below, because it's mega. It's mega, innit? Remember that you can also follow me on my social medias, which is Hope Wilson E. That's Hope Wilson with an E on TikTok and Instagram. And remember, you can keep enjoying musicals as much as me, or musical movies for that matter. And I will see you in the next one.